Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. May the Lord protect us both, the teacher and the taught together, by revealing knowledge. May the Lord protect us both by giving us the results of knowledge. May we attain vigor together. Let what we study be illuminating. May we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace. Second mantra of the second chapter in the second section. Chapter 2, section 2, mantra 2. That's where we were last time. I read that out last time and I explained it a little bit. I'll explain a little more today. Hamsa Shuchishad Vasurantariksha Hota Vedishad Atithir Duronasat Nrishad Varasad Ritasad Vyomasad Abja Goja Ritaja Adrija Ritam Brihat. As the moving sun, he dwells in heaven. As air, he pervades all and enters in the interspace. As fire, he resides on the earth. As Soma, he stays in a jar. He lives among men, he lives among the gods, he dwells in truth, he dwells in space. He is born in water, he takes birth from the earth. He is born in the sacrifice, he emerges from the mountains. He is unchanging and he is great. So, what's going on here? Here, the reality of our inner self is revealed as the reality of the entire universe. Atman and Brahman are shown to be one and the same. Quickly recapitulating, which I have mentioned many times in all Vedanta, most Vedanta classes, the process of Vedanta first is to look inwards and to find out who am I, to investigate ourselves. And when I say investigate ourselves, it does not mean a physical investigation of the body. It does not mean a psychological investigation of our thoughts. The first one, the body, we leave it to the physiologist, to the doctor. What's going on in the mind and the meaning of the contents of the mind or the contents of our dreams, we will leave it to the psychotherapist. What it means is a look into our experience and notice that one constant fact of our experience is all experience is made possible by the fact that we are consciousness. There is consciousness, awareness. That's what makes experience possible. All experience. You cannot have experience without consciousness. And then we notice, in my experience, everything changes except the fact that I am aware. And this awareness is, again, we realize it's not just the kind of ordinary mental awareness which we are. When we use the word awareness or consciousness, that's what we mean. That's what we unthinkingly apply it to. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, remembering, desiring, hating. This is what we consider to be awareness. But awareness in itself, minus its contents, it's a very subtle concept, but it's always there. And that's what makes possible our experience, our first person experience. That's what makes possible life itself. And this has to be first understood, that the distinction between awareness and its contents. And Vedanta calls this Atma Anatma Viveka, the discernment of the self from the not self. And here it's implicitly what is pointed out is this awareness, you should not say my awareness, not in the same sense as my liver or my heart. It is you, the awareness. That is the crucial understanding to come to. It's not even awareness in the sense of my thoughts, my memories. No, it is you, the awareness, in which the mind and the body are experienced, through which the mind and body are experienced, because of which mind and body appear to be conscious. So I am awareness. This shift from I am a body with consciousness or awareness to I am consciousness or awareness. I'm using the words indistinguishably. And the Sanskrit word is Chit or Chaitanya or Bodha, many words. I am pure awareness with a mind and a body. So this shift is essential. Now, this is not Advaita. This is Sankhya. But then why do we do this? Why do we give so much importance to this? Because without this, Advaita is not possible. Non-duality, oneness of all existence, not possible without this step. And this step is vital. Otherwise, what will happen, is that we ordinarily will continue to think of ourselves as bodies. And even thinkers who think a lot about this, scientists, many philosophers, they will tell us that, oh, awareness, you're giving too much importance to awareness or consciousness, because actually it's body which is important. And from body, consciousness emerges, so through brain activity or whatever. So consciousness is secondary. You are not literally consciousness. You are deeper than consciousness is body. You are the body, because without body, there'll be no consciousness at all. So you don't exist without the body, and therefore when the consequences, when the body dies, we are all gone. This is a materialist, reductionist position. You have to shake this first. This is sort of instinctive within us. Unthinkingly, we assume this position that I am body. And after thinking also, so many scientists, so many philosophers will adopt this position that we are basically body. Your awareness is very interesting, but it's basically a product of the body. This has to be broken. This has to be shifted. And we come to a clear understanding that awareness is fundamental. Consciousness is fundamental. That's why I think so much of the new interest in consciousness studies, and especially of the work of David Chalmers, who shows that awareness, consciousness cannot be so easily reduced to brain and nervous, the activities of the nervous system. So I am consciousness. First of all, distinction between consciousness and its objects. What is it called? Atma, Anatma, Viveka, discernment of self and not self. Consciousness is self. Consciousness is you, and you are consciousness. This shift takes place. I am consciousness. Then the next thing will be, it is one consciousness in all beings, not one body. At the level of the body, you can't have oneness. At the level of the mind, you can't have oneness. At the level of the body, you can't have immortality. At the level of the mind, you can't have unchanging peace, fulfillment. It's at the level of awareness. So I am awareness, and this is one awareness in all bodies, in all bodies and minds. There's a big, big shift. Awareness is one and constant in all bodies and minds. And then finally, the third one, where you get non-duality, is that all the world and the bodies and minds, they are nothing but awareness. See what we had distinguished earlier. Consciousness and its content, self and not self. First, you shift it out, self and not self, and you are consciousness, the self, and distinguished from body, mind. Then, finally, when you realize you're one consciousness in all beings, and then all those bodies, all those minds, all that world and universe is an appearance in consciousness, and nothing but consciousness, pervaded through and through by consciousness, and nothing but consciousness. So nothing but consciousness, appearing as an other to consciousness, appearing as different from consciousness. This is non-duality, and no second, non-duality. Advaitam. So this is this final stage is now going to be talked about. In the first mantra, what did he say? This is Yama teaching Nachiketa. He said in the first mantra that in the city with 11 gates, there is something in that pervading it and separate from it, consciousness alone, which you are. You are not the 11-gated city, not even the mind which is there, but distinct from the mind and body, you are consciousness itself. Now, this consciousness is the ultimate reality. Nothing in this universe is different from this consciousness. None of these other beings with whom we are surrounded, they're different from you. They are you as consciousness. And their bodies and minds are also, they appear to be different from consciousness, but they are nothing other than the manifestations of consciousness, the appearances of consciousness. And again, this may sound crazy. Unbelievable. But it's not so difficult to understand after all. Just consider your dreams. Just consider our dreams. What happens in a dream? In a dream, you fall asleep, you forget this body, and in a whole dream world, a virtual world is created instantly by your dreaming mind. And the mind creates a world with its own time and space and people and activities. And in that, you have a body. That's also produced by the dreaming mind, the body in the mind, in the dream. Remember, that's quite different from the waking state body, which is after all on the bed and sleeping and dreaming. So the dreaming mind produces a world. What is that world? Does it exist outside the dreaming mind? Not at all. The time in that world, the space in that world, the people in that world, the objects in that world, the activities in that world, and most amazingly, you yourself in that world. You have dreamt it up, and now you have entered it as one person in that dream world. I am here, and I'm surrounded by people and activities, good and bad. So we do it. Every night we do it. A whole world, which is nothing other than your own mind. Now, remember very clearly, very important, I am not saying that, and Vedanta is not saying that this is a product of your mind. If you say that, that is what is called subjective idealism, Berkeleyan idealism, or Buddhist Vijnanavada, a mind producing its own world. No, what Advaita Vedanta is saying, consciousness, not mind. In consciousness, the absolute consciousness or pure consciousness, appears the world and its people and bodies, and yes, even minds. They all appear in that consciousness. Okay. So having done this, so this is what is going to be said. Now the speciality or the difficult part of this mantra is, mantra number 2, it uses rather technical language, or rather archaic language. This is Vedic language, Sanskrit, but it doesn't mean the things it would normally mean. These are words which have special meanings in ancient Vedic times. So that we have to see. It's actually poetry. I think it's just an ecstatic outburst of a rishi who looks around the world and sees it permeated by one divinity, which is his own self. Now we'll quickly take a look at the words and what they actually mean. So, Hamsa Shushishat, it moves through the skies as the shining sun. What moves? The sun is moving. But it is Brahman. It's the Atman itself. As Brahman, it appears as the sun, bright sun, moving through the sky. That's poetry. Are you just taking the sun and calling it Brahman? In this mantra, sun, wind, fire, these are all used to point out Brahman everywhere, pervading everything. Now, again, a subtle point, important point here. If it is misunderstood, one possible misunderstanding is, isn't this pantheism? That means, it's a fancy word. The problem is like saying everything is God. So isn't that what you say? Everything is God. The problem with saying that is, you're just taking the universe, here's the universe, and giving it a new name, God, Brahman, Atman. What good is that? Here is the world, here are people suffering. Here is a material world, time, space, matter, energy. Now you just call it God. So what good did it do? What great thing have you achieved by this? This is not what is meant by Advaita in Advaita Vedanta. They're not taking the world as such and calling it God. No, it is Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss, appearing as the universe. It is Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss, appearing as the blazing sun in the sky. That is what is meant. Not the ball of hydrogen burning in the fusion reaction far away from Earth. Not in that sense. Whatever you are seeing as the sun, how do you make sense of it? Again, not difficult. Notice that the sun exists. Nobody doubts it. And according to Advaita Vedanta, existence itself is Brahman. It's like saying, notice that the golden ornament, the golden bracelet is gold. You will find gold in that ornament. It's basically nothing but gold. The same way, when you say sun is existence itself with a name and the properties and the activities or the function of the sun, but it's basically existence itself, sat. So that's what is meant. Hamsa Shuchishad, as the sun, as the blazing sun, it moves through the skies. Vasur Antariksha Sat. And from outer space, we come down to the space between us and the heavens, the interspace. And there it moves, Brahman moves. Where is Brahman? I don't see it. Do you feel the cool breeze? So it has now appeared, existence itself, appearing as breeze and with that name and form and function. Then Vasur Antariksha Sat, filling the interspace with air. Hota Vedishat, as fire on the earth. This doesn't do justice to the words. The words are actually archaic and technical. Hota would normally mean a priest, and Vedi would mean the sacrificial altar. So you have to remember the Vedic civilizational context, where there is a sacrificial altar and a fire is lit, and ritualistically offerings are given to that fire. Now that fire is called Hota here, and the altar is the way, or here instead of the altar it is said earth. Vedi means earth. So the fire on the earth, there is Brahman. It's not actually fire. It's the name and form and function is fire, but the reality of it is Brahman. Then Atitir Durona Sat. This is a funny one. It has two meanings. One meaning is soma juice, which was an important ingredient, part of Vedic rituals. Soma juice. And today we are not very sure exactly what soma juice was. There are a lot of research and papers about it. So what is this soma juice? This soma juice, which is extracted from plants and was kept in jars for offering during the Vedic sacrifice. But here the meaning is, it is that soma juice you see in the middle of the Vedic sacrifice sitting in the jar, that is Brahman. That's one meaning of this word, Atiti Durona Sat. Another meaning is, it is the guest. Atiti literally means guest, and Durona means the home. So appears as the adored guest in the home. Who is that? It's not a guest in the home, it is Brahman. Brahman is appearing as the guest in your home. Then Nrishat, it is in all human beings. How? Just as you saw a little while ago, 11-gated city, in the middle of that shines consciousness. So as consciousness in all beings, all human beings, Nrishat. Varasat, it is there in all the gods, the Vedic gods who are worshipped by these rituals. In all the gods, Brahman exists. So notice here, Brahman is one, without a second, and is not to be confused with the lower deities, the small g gods. So Varasat, Vara means literally the worshipped ones, the adorable ones. So Varasat, it exists in all the gods. Vyomasat, it exists in the sky. How does it exist in the sky? As the very existence of the sky. Then Abja, it is born in the waters, in the oceans, as fish and mollusks, and so I'm translating literally from Shankara's commentary. The mollusks and snails and fish and whales and so on. Goja, it is born in the earth. It is born in the earth as barley and wheat and rice and so on. What is born? Brahman. Is Brahman. Then Ritaja, it is there. Here Rita means the Vedic sacrifice, as all the ingredients to be used in a Vedic sacrifice, all the accessories, the materials, the implements used for offering the the offerings into the fire, all of that, it is Brahman. This, of course, this one word Ritaja, you will see expanded in the Gita. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam. We chanted before eating, but that's a paradigm of a Vedic sacrifice, and all the ingredients of the Vedic sacrifice, all the components. What are the components of a Vedic sacrifice? The fire itself, the offering itself, which might be ghee, the clarified butter, the one who offers, the priest, the instrument, the ladle with which offering is made. These are the components of the Vedic sacrifice. And the chanting, and these are components of the Vedic sacrifice. He really says all of that is Brahman. And then Adrija, it is born in the mountains. What's born in the mountains? The rivers. The rivers are born from the mountains. The Ganga runs from Gangotri, Yamuna runs from Yamunotri, and so on. So the rivers which are born in the mountains. So what about them? They are not rivers born in the mountains. They're Brahman. Brahman is born as rivers in the mountains. This is the exact translation. Ritam, the truth, the unshakable truth. What unshakable truth? That one existence consciousness bliss which you find upon investigation as the one shining consciousness in your own heart. That is Brihat. That is vast, not limited in your own heart. It is the vast, in which the entire universe appears. So once again, that which races blazing through the skies as the sun is Brahman. That which blows through the skies as the atmosphere, as the winds, is Brahman. That which is blazing on the earth as fire is Brahman. And Brahman itself appears as the adored guest in your house. Brahman shines as the consciousness in the hearts of all humans, and Brahman shines as the consciousness in the hearts of all the deities, God, all the gods, small g gods. Brahman shines as the very sky itself, space itself. Brahman is born in the oceans as the fish and the ocean dwellers. Brahman is born on the earth as wheat and barley and rice and all the plants and all. Brahman is all that you see, the paraphernalia of a great Vedic sacrifice. Brahman is born in the mountains as the rivers, and it is the one unshakable, limitless truth. This is the meaning. I said, wow, it's amazing. Well, that's you. You are amazing. That's what Shankara, that's what Yama wants to say. Then number 3. Pointing it out, back to pointing out the Atman or Brahman within ourselves. Number 3. Urdhvam pranam unnayati apanam pratyagasyati madhye vamanamasinam vishve deva upasate. All the deities worship that adorable one sitting in the middle, who pushes the prana upwards and impels the apana inwards. All right. It draws our attention to breathing. And why breathing? Breathing is the very tip of what is called prana, all the physiological activities in the body. So breathing is prana, first of all. Breathing in, breathing out, this is prana. And then all the physiological activities in the body, such as not only breathing, the oxygenation of the blood, the action of the lungs, but also digestion of food. All the physiological activities going on in the body, that is prana, because of prana. And in a vaster scale, all power and energy in this universe is prana. Now, when we say pranayama, so control of prana, we take just the tip of the iceberg. That is the one which is available for immediate voluntary observation and control. What is that? Breathing in and breathing out, and also holding the breath. There we have some voluntary control of the prana. And the idea there is, why would that help? See, prana controls everything that's going on. And in order to get control of this prana, you must first pick up the one which is available to you right now. Swami Vivekananda gives the story of the, I think, the prisoner in the tower who escaped, because I think it was a princess in a tower, and the prince or the minister helped her to escape. First, what did he do? They sent up a little bee, a honey bee, and put a drop of honey on its antenna and put it at the bottom of the tower and tied a tiny, delicate silk string to it. And as the honeybee climbed, following the smell of the honey on its antenna, it climbed the tower and pulled up the thin a strand, a silken strand with itself. And when it reached the window at the top of the tower where the princess or whoever the prisoner was imprisoned, so she took the bee and untied the thin lace, the silken thread. And she pulled up that little silken thread. To it was tied a bigger string, which the bee couldn't have pulled up. And then the string was tied to a rope, and that was tied to a much thicker rope, which she tied to the window and was able to scale down the tower and escape. Now, the idea being, all these great energies are there in this body and mind. Directly, we can't control it, but as you get control of the breath, you can control those. And by controlling those, the body and mind come under your control. And the whole purpose is not to control these energies, but to still them so that you can meditate. Anyway, for our purpose, what he says here is that prana, this movement of prana in the body, he's using it to indicate, give you a practice for finding out Atman or Brahman. Now, two of the functions of prana are inhalation and exhalation. So inhalation, this is called apana, and exhalation is called prana. So inhalation, apana, and exhalation, prana. So that which pushes the air out of the lungs and through the nose into the atmosphere outside, and that which draws in air from the atmosphere outside through the nose and into the lungs. These are the two activities of prana and apana. Now, what has he said here? That which pushes the prana upwards, that means exhalation. This prana is pushed upwards and out of the nose. And that which draws the apana inwards. Now, this has been converted, and in the middle of that, he says, in the middle of that sits the dwarf, Vamanam, but literally it means the adorable deity, which sits in the heart. Now, this idea has been converted into a meditation in Kashmiri Shaivism. It's the very famous Soham or Hamsa meditation. So you are supposed to visualize and repeat to yourself as you draw the breath in, hum, and as you exhale, sa. Now you have to visualize the breath going in from the nose through the windpipe down into the lungs. This is hum, and it should come here. There's like 12, 10, and 2 more fingertips like this. 10 and 2 more. So at the middle of the chest here. So visualize a movement by tracking the air going through the nose down to the windpipe into somewhere around here. So 12 is called Dwadasha Anta. It's a term from Kashmiri Shaivism. I'm telling you a meditation found in the Vijnana Bhairava. And then when you exhale, sa, imagine the air coming out, the movement coming from that point upwards and coming out here, up to the air flowing out up to a point 12 finger breaths from here, 10 and 2 more, up to somewhere here, outside. And then this inside and this outside, these are visualized as Shiva and Shakti. That's in the Kashmiri Shaivism model. I'm not going to the details of that meditation. The details I taught once in the Garrison retreat. It's in a YouTube video, Vijnana Bhairava, meditation in Kashmir Shaivism. So that was the Hamsa meditation. But that Hamsa meditation, it's found in the text called Vijnana Bhairava, which talks about 112 different meditations, all meant to just help you to locate yourself as Atma, as consciousness. Now, this particular meditation is actually drawn from Vedic sources, from Upanishadic sources. And here is the Upanishadic source. The point here is, it is just a way of pointing out the Atman, that you are the Atman. And it literally does not mean the Atman is only here, 12 finger breaths in the middle of the chest. That's just a way of focusing. What does it mean, Madhye, in the middle? It means in your heart. What does it mean in your heart? Is medical heart in that? Is it like a heart condition? No. It means in your mind. What does it mean in your mind? It means consciousness. Shankaracharya is very clear about this. Again and again, when it says heart, he says buddhi guhayam, in the cave of the mind, in the cave of the intellect, as awareness. Right now, you're aware. Awareness is there everywhere, but you can't easily find out. If you say, show me awareness in this table, I can't. Show me awareness in my elbow, I can't. But show me awareness in thoughts, in feelings, in emotions, I can't show you, but you can locate it yourself. So that is the deity in the middle of the body here, Vamanam, the adorable one. There is a saying, Rathe cha Vamanam drishtva punarjanmana vidyate. If you see the dwarf, the adorable one, in the chariot, then you won't go through the cycle of birth and death. You will not be born again. That means you will attain moksha. I'll repeat that. Rathe, in the chariot. Vamanam, this same, the adorable dwarf or the deity. Drishtva, having seen. Punarjanma, repeated births. Navidyate, will not come to pass. What does that mean? So what is the chariot? The body. What is the Vaman in the body? You, but not you the person. You the pure consciousness. That's why it's dangerous to say you. We'll say, oh, me, myself. I know myself. No, you don't. That's why so much you have to undergo so much trouble. So the real me, which is awareness itself, not body, not mind, in this body mind. What is the chariot? The body and the mind. In the body mind is this adorable deity. Seeing that. What does it mean, seeing? Seeing means you can't see it with your eyes. You can't even think about it with your mind, but you are the one who sees through the eyes and who thinks. Realizing that one, I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. Punarjanmana vidyate. What's the result of that? You will not be subjected to the limited body, this birth and death. That means you will not be subjected to a life of suffering as bodies which are born and dying, as minds which undergo this repeatedly. No, you remain as limitless awareness. And then he adds, Vishwe Deva Upasate. And this adorable deity is continuously worshipped by all the other gods. All the gods worship it. What does it mean, all the gods worship it? Who is this adorable deity? You, consciousness. But who are the gods worshipping you? I don't see any gods around worshipping me. I'm supposed to worship the gods. Where are the gods worshipping me? Well, what is meant here is you, the consciousness, you're being continuously worshipped by all the deities. Which are the deities? So in Vedanta, or in Sankhya also, Vedanta basically, the Vedic deities are identified with the functionings of the sense organs. So consciousness is being continuously worshipped by its minions. What are the minions? Visual capacity, the auditory capacity, taste and smell and touch. So all these senses, the sensory powers, they are continuously offering, giving offerings, sacrifices unto the deity in the chariot, in the middle of this body, the Vamana. Who is that? To you. What are the offerings? Oh, I'm being given gifts continuously. Yes. But where are the gifts? The gifts are when you see form continuously being poured at your feet. You, consciousness, enjoy form. This is my worship, says the eyes. You, O consciousness, enjoy sound. This is my worship, says the ears, the deity in the charge of the ears. You, consciousness, enjoy taste and flavor, enjoy fragrance, enjoy touch, hard and soft, warm and cold. All of these is worship of consciousness going on in this body-mind system. What a beautiful way of visualizing this. Scientific, very psychological, very logical, and poetic at the same time. Lyrical and poetic. Let me repeat. Urdhvam pranam unnayati, which pushes the air out through the function of prana. It is the very presence of consciousness in the body. That's why this is happening. That which apanam pratyagasyati, Air flows into your nose and the body, mind, through the to the lungs. Why does this happen? Because in the middle sits this consciousness. Middle, you can visualize it in the middle. That's how we practice meditation. The deity is visualized in the heart. But precisely what does it mean? Phenomenologically, you can feel it here. But logically, what it means, it is consciousness in the middle of the mind, in the middle of your very mental existence. Mental, by mental, I mean intellectual, mental, emotional, all of that, perceptual. And you are being, this consciousness, this deity, this Vamana in the middle is being continuously worshipped by all the powers in the body and in the mind. Then he talks about death. What happens at death? Asya visrangsamanasya sharirasthasya dehina dehad vimuchyamanasya kimatra parishishyate etadvaitat. When this dweller in the body becomes detached, when he is freed from this body, what else remains here in this body? This indeed is that. So he connects it with death, because the whole question started with, what happens after death or at death? And Yama, the teacher, is the lord of death. So what happens at death? For this, we need to take a step back and remember our basic Sankhyan psychology or cosmology. What is going on here is consciousness, Atman, Brahman, we saw. It is one reality. We saw it is the sun in the skies, the wind in the air, in the inner spaces, interspaces. It is the fire on the earth. It is in the humans and in the gods, in the mountains and rivers. So it is the one consciousness everywhere, one existence everywhere. If it's difficult to conceive of one consciousness everywhere, because we don't see it, one consciousness, we feel it only in ourselves. But then everybody feels existence everywhere. We all see that the universe exists, that existence itself, it's everywhere. But in the mind, in your mind, that existence comes as the existence of the mind and as consciousness. So it is reflected in the mind. Existence, consciousness, bliss is reflected in the mind as the reflected consciousness, in Sanskrit, Chidabhasa. What is this reflected consciousness? What's this new character you have introduced into the drama? It's the consciousness which we are feeling right now. And right now, if you look into your mind, you feel you're aware. You say, yes, Swami, I'm aware. Is that pure consciousness? Is that Atman, Brahman? No, it is not. Why not? Because the moment you say that, it becomes an object. You feel it, right? You're aware of it. You're aware of awareness. So that awareness is the reflected awareness. It's the face in the mirror. If you see your face in the mirror, if you say, oh, so that's a face, right? That's my face. Not exactly. That's a reflection of your face. That's a pretty close approximation of your face. But it's not literally your face, because your face is here. It's not there. I can see my own face in the camera right now. Is my face there or here? It's here, not there. Similarly, pure consciousness is now reflected in the mind as reflected consciousness. It's a lot like the face reflected in the mirror. It's a lot like sunlight reflected from the moon. And notice, the sunlight reflected on the moon becomes moonlight, and it behaves a lot like the sun. In what ways does it behave like the sun? It shines, and it can illumine. It can reveal things, and it can remove darkness and reveal things in darkness. Similarly, the reflected consciousness in our minds works just like real consciousness. It gives us experiences of the mind, and through the mind, it lights up the senses, and we are able to see and hear and smell and taste and touch. And through the senses, it lights up this universe. We see forms, we hear sounds, we smell smells and fragrances, odors, we taste various kinds of flavors, we touch, and we are aware of pressure and heat and cold and all of that. So the senses reveal the world. The mind reveals the senses, and the mind itself is revealed by reflected consciousness. And the reflected consciousness is nothing but the real consciousness reflected in the mind. All right. Now, next step. What happens when this reflected consciousness is there in the mind? This mind, and remember, In Vedanta, we don't use a general term like the mind. We say Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. Sthula Sharira, physical body, gross body. In that is the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira. And how do you distinguish? We can look at it now, experience it for yourself now.
All right. So what happens at death? What happens at death is this physical body dies. It can no longer support the subtle body. Sthula Sharira dies. It can no longer support the Sukshma Sharira. So the Sukshma Sharira, actually technically, when the physical body cannot support the subtle body anymore, it's not capable, then the subtle body leaves this physical body, and that's what's called death of the body. So when the subtle body leaves the physical body, that's called death. Physical death occurs then. Literally, we use this in just about every Indian language. Prana has left, pran nikal gaya, pran chala gaya, pran chale galo. So prana is one of the components of the subtle body. The life forces, vitality is one part of the subtle body. Sukshma Sharira has many components: mind, intellect, memory, ego. These are some of the components. Mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. But also prana. And this prana, apana, all the various functions, physiological functions of the prana, they're all part of the subtle body. And when the subtle body leaves the physical body dies. And that's death. Now, notice the subtle body has one unique component. It has got the reflected consciousness. Pure consciousness reflected in the mind. That's in the subtle body. So this is the crucial part. When the subtle body leaves the physical body, why does it leave? Physical body can no longer support it. It becomes old or damaged or whatever, or sick. The subtle body leaves, physical body dies. And when it leaves, the reflected consciousness in the subtle body travels with the subtle body. What about pure consciousness? What about Atman, Brahman? It's always there. It's there everywhere. It's there in the subtle body. It's there in the dead body also. The physical dead body, it exists as how in the dead body? As the existence of the dead body. But the reflected consciousness is no longer there in the dead body. The subtle body is no longer there in the dead body. Prana is not there. Mind is not there. Intellect is not there. Memory is not there. That has gone. Now, important. This is what is called transmigration, or the movement of the self from one body to another. The soul's journey. Soul's journey is the journey of the subtle body along with the reflected consciousness. Is it there? Is the Atman or Brahman there in the subtle body also? Of course, it's there everywhere. Why shouldn't it be in the subtle body? But remember, the Atman or Brahman in an Advaitic perspective does not travel. It's everywhere. Where will it travel? If you walk around in your dreams, you are walking around somewhere. But the fact is that the mind which is dreaming it, the mind is not walking around. Mind is everywhere you walk around, because the whole dream has been constructed by the mind. Similarly, the whole universe exists in Atman or Brahman. Where will the Atman or Brahman go? It cannot go from one place to another. All places are in it. It's not in a place. But the subtle bodies move. Subtle bodies are many. As many jivas we have, so many subtle bodies. And they continuously are moving. They're moving with the physical body. When the physical body is alive, when the physical body is dead, it moves out of the physical body into other lokas, into other realms, and again gets a new physical body, a new birth according to the past karma of that jiva. Who is a jiva? Pure consciousness, Atman, Brahman, with the limitation of one subtle body, is a jiva. So infinite awareness appearing to be limited in these limited subtle bodies, these are jivas, sentient beings, persons, individuals. That's us. If you count, there are 69 people here. There's 69 jivas here. How many physical bodies? 69. How many subtle bodies? 69. How many reflected consciousnesses? 69. How many pure consciousnesses? 1. Just 1. Not only in these 69, in all the 7-8 billion people, in all the billions of sentient beings, and the non-sentient, non-living universe, so-called non-living universe, that also is one Atman, one existence. So all that for a background. What is death? Death is death of the physical body, occasioned by the subtle body leaving the physical body, carrying with it the reflected consciousness. Atman or pure consciousness always remaining the same. All right. Now, we look at the mantra. This pure consciousness, reflected as the reflected consciousness in each subtle body, Visamsamanasya Sharirasya, the body which is destructible, the body which can die, the physical body dies, Dehad Vimuchyamanasya, and the subtle body which can be separated from this physical body. In that subtle body is a reflection of you, the pure consciousness, called the reflected consciousness. When it leaves the physical body, it says, Kimatra Parishishyate. What is left here? And Shankara gives a commentary. He says that, like a king, remember the 11-gated city, like the king of the city, when the king of the city leaves the city, what despair and ruin the dwellers of the city fall to. Yeah. So you have a week-long funeral of the queen when the queen has left the city of London. So we fall into despair and weep and wail and mourn for days and days. So similarly, the dwellers of this city, they fall into despair. The city falls into disrepair when the subtle body has left, when the king has left. Who's the king? Not the subtle body. The king is the reflected consciousness in the subtle body. It's because of that king, you, the reflected consciousness in that mind, everything in that body mind is going on. When you walk out with the movement of the mind, the body falls into ruin and disrepair. He says, what else is left here? You might say, well, the dead body is left here, but even the dead body doesn't survive long without your presence there. Natural processes take over and it falls apart very soon, and its components go back to their natural sources, dust to dust. All of it goes back to nature again. So the physical body, the city, falls into despair and ruin when the king of the city has left. Who is the king of the city? It's the subtle, it is the reflected consciousness in the subtle body. So this is the description of death from Yama's perspective in the Upanishad. What about Atman Brahman? As Atman Brahman, you're perfectly all right. Death is incidental to you. See how vastly it magnifies you, how much it does not deny death, but it puts death in its place. It's a process of decay and destruction of the physical body, correct? Yama is not denying that at all. It's a process of transmigration, movement from one body to another body of the subtle body, from one loka world to another loka of the subtle body. And indeed, your reflection moves with the subtle body. That's why we say dead, and that person has now gone and goes to heaven and will be reborn again because of past karma as some kind of some other body. Who is that? Subtle body. Who is that? Reflected consciousness. However, let's be careful here. We must not think that, oh, so I am pure consciousness, and other than me, there is one physical body here, there's one subtle body there, there's one reflected consciousness there. No. All of that is an appearance in you. All of that is you also. But you are not touched by the changes in that, no more than you are touched by problems and changes in the characters in your dreams. So that is death in the Upanishadic sense. Now let's quickly look at the questions. I'm sorry, I lost many of the questions earlier when computer's subtle body malfunctioned. It's prana. You notice the importance of prana here. The moment all is working, computer is fine, programming, the apps are running, the programs are running fine, and we are Brahman, Atman. We are watching it, enjoying the whole thing. But crucially, what happened? If electricity goes away, for example, in my case, of course, the subtle body malfunction, that is the internet connection. We can call it the prana. So the connection malfunctioned, and then the whole thing shuts down for a while. But notice, you are fine. The computer may shut down, the internet connection may shut down, the apps in the computer may malfunction, there may be an internet outage, power outage. You are completely untouched by the whole thing. This is a good example. You just were not able to experience the class anymore. That's it. The class disappeared. Similarly, samsara disappears for you if the equipment is not functioning properly. But when the equipment functions properly, it presents samsara to you. But notice your difference from samsara. And this is not Advaita. Distinction is between consciousness and matter, Sankhya, Prakriti, and Purusha. All right. Kiran says, Swamiji, just noticed that in mantra 2, all the 5 elements are mentioned, just as the universe can be reduced to the Panchabhutas. Yes, fire is mentioned, space is mentioned, then water and earth and wind are all mentioned. You're right. All the 5 elements. I didn't notice that. Gaurav says, when we investigate this consciousness, reflected consciousness, we can still see that it's not illusion. It is that which is illumining all my current experiences. Be careful. It's not illusion, but it is none other than you, the original consciousness. It's like saying, oh, when I look at my face in the mirror, I see that it's not illusion. But don't be mistaken, fooled into thinking it's a real face in the mirror, that there's somebody in that mirror. It isn't. It's your reflection. Your face is real. That's a nice facsimile, a beautiful copy of your face, but it's not a real face at all. Is it okay to still accept that Upanishad is talking about this consciousness? If we accept that Upanishad is talking about some pure consciousness, awareness is distinct from consciousness, which I'm right now, then we get into something mystical different from us. No, we don't. But don't make this mistake. See, this is what happens. The moment you start talking about reflected consciousness, we instinctively identify with the reflected consciousness. We say, oh, okay, now I exhale a breath of relief. Now I know where I am. I am this awareness. And Swami is saying this is reflected consciousness. Therefore, I am reflected consciousness. There is some original pure consciousness, Brahman, Atman, which I am supposed to be. But right now, I have no idea of that. I am reflected consciousness. No. You must carefully hold on to, just take it on faith because I'm saying it, but carefully hold on to this. You are pure consciousness. You are Atman, Brahman. For the time being, you're unable to distinguish yourself from this reflected consciousness. That's why you think you're reflected consciousness. You are. It's like you are seeing your face in the mirror and you're convinced, okay, I am that one there, that is which is appearing in the mirror. No, you are this one. I can't see this one. I can see that one, but that one is coming only because this one is there. I am this one. The reflected consciousness is coming only because you are pure consciousness. So instead of thinking that you are reflected consciousness and you're searching for some kind of pure consciousness, think that your pure consciousness being reflected in the mind as reflected consciousness. You know why this is happening? It's because of an incomplete separation between you, the consciousness, and mind. It's because I have not understood the mirror and the reflected face as something distant and separate from me, the original face, the real face. I have no idea about this real face. Now you take it on faith that you are not the mirror, you're not that reflected face, you're the actual face. Just take it on faith for the time being, and then we'll work carefully to see that I am the pure consciousness, not the reflected consciousness. In fact, what Gaurav is saying, if I say that reflected consciousness is real, see, is it okay to accept the Upanishad talking about this consciousness if we say that it is talking about the reflected consciousness, but remember, Upanishad is using that reflected consciousness to point out to you the real consciousness. Upanishad is not really interested in the reflected consciousness except as an explanatory mechanism. Why is it that we feel conscious in all our thoughts, feelings, perceptions? Because of that reflected consciousness. What is practically giving us illumination in day-to-day life? It's reflected consciousness. Just like if I say, what is practically giving you illumination in a moonlit night? It is moonlight. But remember, moonlight is nothing other than sunlight all the time. Rodrigo says, then in reality, there is no journey, not journey, it's all a trick of ignorance. Correct. All journey is in the body, like we are moving around now. All journey is in the mind from lifetime to lifetime. And you are the reality in which this journey appears. Hard to understand movement of reflected consciousness. Subtle body is matter, but reflected consciousness is not. No, reflected consciousness is also nothing but subtle body. It's a peculiar combination of pure consciousness reflected in the subtle body. Subtle body is matter, and reflected consciousness is very much matter. It's like saying the face reflected in the mirror is glass, I can understand, but the face reflected is not glass. It's glass. Touch it. What will you touch? When you look at yourself in the mirror and then touch your reflected face, you are touching the mirror. Every bit of your reflected face is nothing but the mirror. It's a unique property of the mirror. It can reflect your face. The wall cannot reflect your face. The wash basin cannot reflect your face, but the mirror can. Similarly, the unique property of minds, of subtle bodies, is that it can reflect consciousness. Reflect is just a word. It's not a physical reflection. It's not physical light. Reflect, channelize, limit. These are the words which have been used in Vedanta. The technical terms are pratibimba, reflection, avacheda, limitation, abhasa, unreal reflection. There are whole complicated theories. Pratibimba-vada says the consciousness you are feeling now is your reflection, is a reflection of pure consciousness. And the reflection is nothing but pure consciousness in this sense. Use the mirror example. In the mirror, I see the reflection of my face. And when I say that is nothing but this, is Pratibimba-vada. Reflection is nothing but this. The reflection points directly to the original. That's one theory. But suppose you have a reflection and you consider the reflection in itself, that's abhasa, then the reflection is false. It's not real. It's just the mirror itself appearing as your face. But it has some of the properties of your face. It looks like your face. Similarly, the mind itself, it takes on the capacities and powers of consciousness to illumine, to reveal, to give first-person experience. That, by the way, is the answer to the hard problem of consciousness in Advaita Vedanta. Parul says, is witness consciousness the same as pure consciousness? Yes. Sakshi is the same as pure consciousness, witness consciousness, not reflected consciousness. Girish says, following up last night's discussion on free will, isn't the concept of karma incompatible with the deterministic, ruled by causality, phenomenal world? Correct, it is. But notice that there is those three levels of free will, which Arindam Chakravarti talks about. At a certain transactional level, we all accept free will. For economic choice, you need free will. For political choice, means free will. The law functions on the concept that there is free will. So on. Everything in this world functions on the assumption there is free will. So transactionally, let us assume that's free will because it works. This assumption works. Only on investigation, it seems that there's no free will. Jennifer says, pranams from Uttarakhand. Oh, you're in Uttarakhand, in the Himalayas in India. Jennifer. When the enlightened one leaves the body, there's complete loss of individuality. Well, the enlightened one doesn't leave the body in Advaita Vedanta. Only the unenlightened one leaves the body. So you might say, what does it mean? The enlightened one stays in the body? No. The body and the world, all of these are appearances in that one reality which the enlightened one knows, I am that. If the enlightened one were to leave the body, what would happen? If the enlightened one knows I am Brahman. If Brahman were to leave the body, what would happen? Is it die? No. It would vanish in an instant. What happens to the bodies and places and things in your dream when you wake up? Do you leave your body in the dream? No. The body inside the dream, the body you have in a dream, do you leave it? No. It disappears the moment you wake up. Not only that body disappears, everything else in the dream disappears. The universe would disappear in an instant if the enlightened one were to leave the universe. The universe appears in the enlightened one. Thomas says, why should we consider Atman the same as analogous to Brahman? Not analogous, literally, identically the same as Brahman. See, that's what the Upanishad said. In the 11-gated city, you find this one consciousness. But it is that consciousness which is racing along in the sky as the sun, which fills the space as the atmosphere, which blazes on the earth as fire, as water in the mountains and the earth, and so on. You say, so that's one answer, that the Upanishad is saying that. That's what we should be clear about. Upanishad says that your real nature, the Atman, and the real nature of this universe is the same. Your real nature is Atman, the real nature of the universe is Brahman. Atman and Brahman are the same. This is the crucial insight of Advaita Vedanta. Now, can you argue that out logically? You can. You can. I will not go into it here. You will look for it in some places I've given. The 7-fold reduction of the material universe into pure consciousness. Nivedita says, Donald Hoffman, yes, another person is doing very interesting work of comparing illusory universe in which we live that hides the underlying reality with icons on a desktop that hide the subtleties of a computer. Correct. That's one analogy. Gaurav Mittal, actually unenlightened also doesn't leave the body. It's subtle body which leaves the body. Is that correct? Not quite. If you ask an enlightened person, if that person ever has any memories of coming up of past lives, and if you ask what happened, said, I left that body. All these accounts of jivas, died and traveled. I went to heavens or hells or whatever. Now I am born to these parents. So whose experience is this? This is the jiva's experience. What jiva? The unenlightened one. So the unenlightened one feels that he or she is traveling. Just as we, in the physical body, we feel we are traveling. Right now, when you move around, you feel you are traveling. This is an unenlightened state. Actually, I'm not traveling. I am consciousness in which the body is moving around. That should be the thing. But we feel instinctively that we are this body and moving around. Similarly, upon death, we will feel that we are this subtle body. We did not die. Physical body died. I, as the subtle body, am now moving on to other worlds and other experiences. All of that is ignorance, according to the Advaitin. You have never ever moved around in a physical body, nor have you ever moved around or you'll ever do so in a subtle body. They're all movies playing on you, the unmoving screen of existence, consciousness, bliss. All right, on that highly metaphysical note, let's take leave. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.